Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sam welcoming you to another episode of Music in the Minor League. This week, we're joined by our friend Joel Mora. Joel, along with his wife Angela, run the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe in Galveston, Texas. Joel also has a long history of playing in bands like the Hates, Red Cap, Blunderbuss, and more. Before we start, we have a few housekeeping items and updates on the band to get out of the way. First off, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and tell a friend about it. It's the best way to help us grow our audience. Second, if you like the bands we're talking to or talking about, go follow them on your streaming network of choice and tell others about the music. That really helps with finding new venues to play and reaching new audiences. Third, if you'd be interested in appearing on the podcast at some point, hit us up and let us know. We'd love to talk to you. Finally, you can see us with our prior guests, Grifters and Shills, at the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe on January 21st. You can hear some music, and you'll be able to meet all of our guests to this point at the same place. On February 17th, we'll be at Shoeshine Charlie's Big Top Lounge in Houston, Texas, with Grifters and Shills and Junebird. We'd love to see you at either or both. Also, on February 24th, you can see our guest, Joel Mora, with his new band, JM and the Honey Badgers, at his bar, the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe. All right, now we're going to kick it off with a song from Joel's old band, Blunderbuss, entitled Fall from Grace, which was recorded at the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe before Joel even owned it. So check it out, let us know what you think, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
1, 2, 3. Back the dawn. I don't think you'll be back, but I'm praying that I'm wrong. Where's that hurt? They come so easily. The pain they cause so hard to eat. What have I done to get us to this place? I blame myself. I'm coming from your grave. So I'll take all the pain. I've pushed you way too far. Some back road, front seat of my old car. Said I didn't need you, and I'm pushing you away. Now I'm standing here dying. Why did I treat you that way? Where's that hurt? They come so easy. The pain they cause so hard to beat. What have I done to get it to this place? I blame myself. I'm falling from your grave. That hurt, they come so easily. The pain they call. So hard to breathe. Have I done to get to this place? I blame myself. I've fallen from your grace. Thank you.
All right, y'all. We're here today with Joel Mora, who some of y'all may know as the owner and operator of the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe. Other you may know him as the drummer of longtime Houston punk band The Hates. And some of y'all who know really back may know him as the drummer of Rubber. So, I knew who Rubber was, man. Like, I remember I stumbled into a couple of those shows as a kid. So it's a good person we wanted to talk to, which kind of worked out perfect because we were like, we need to talk to Joel. And Joel was like, hey, man, I'd like to come talk to y'all. So Joel's done it all. As far as on the minor leagues of music, he's been in a bunch of bands that kind of operated down there, and now he runs like an independent music venue. So here we go, man. What's up, Joel?
Welcome.
What's going on?
Welcome, buddy.
I listened to your first one. It was good. I liked it.
All right.
Sweet.
That's what I was thinking was cool because I was listening. You were talking about when you bought your first amp, I think, and you said you went to Chucky's house of guitars. That is like literally the first person that ever gave me a guitar lesson. Was Chucky.
Texas City legend, man.
He used to work at the Santa Fe pawn. I grew up in Santa Fe, and so he actually worked at the Santa Fe music store, which was a pawn shop too. I took like one guitar lesson from Chucky.
Why only one?
It wasn't what I wanted to do. I think by then I was trying to learn Danzig songs, and they were like doing like blues scales and things. I'm like, I'm not interested in that.
I actually saw a good thing where like Buzz Osborne from the Melvins talked about that. He's like, why don't they just give kids a guitar tuned to open E when they start, so they can just sit down and play some songs instantly, and it's like, oh, this is great. Now we'll make it more difficult where you have to do shapes and stuff. It's like we just get you where if you can sit down that first day like Jun, 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 and it's like, oh wow, yeah, like I can play.
I'm encouraged.
I'm a virtuoso. Look at me, Mom.
So that does bring us to our thing. We were talking ahead of time. I always thought you were a drummer first and then picked up guitar. So
no, I was a guitar player from like 12 to 19.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so I lived down the street from the Santa Fe pawn shop, and so I got my first guitar there.
Did you play lead? Do you still play?
Surprisingly enough, I was the lead player in the first. I was only in one band as a guitar player.
Okay.
And then I quickly discovered the drums. I'll tell you the whole story.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so 13, I got a guitar, 12, 13, around there. It was like a fake Strat. I don't even like a Mako or something with the Gorilla amp.
Yes. Great
First
combo.
Gorilla. And it wasn't even like the really, like everybody had the Gorilla with the crunch on it. Mine didn't have the crunch. I had to turn the overdrive up and like try to get that heavy distortion. And so before like I could get a pedal or whatever. But so 13 all the way up about. I graduated from high school in 91, and I formed a band with some dudes from Santa Fe High School and Paul Tackard, a couple of other people. Paul and I wrote a bunch of songs, threw together some cover songs, like Misfits songs, and I think we did like a Nirvana song because Nirvana was big then. And put this band together, and we played one gig at the Axiom. Remember the Axiom?
Oh, yes.
That was my first gig ever as a professional musician, was the Axiom. And one gig, 2 weeks later, they kicked me out of the band. And
what did
eventually
you do,
just
Joel?
fell. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. I've been thinking about this like all week. Like, what am I going to say? Like, I've always been very driven. That's one thing. I left Santa Fe to go play music in Houston when I joined Rubber. And being in that scene, man, everybody was so, like, they were, like, going for it. Like,
oh, yeah.
They were, practice their instrument. They rehearse. We rehearse like 3 times a week or whatever. So I've always been very driven. And that includes with this first band, which was called Worthless Cause, which does have a demo. I'll try to dig that up sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, this is what I want to do. And they were just like, we just want to drink beer in the garage. And I was just like pushing him, and I would be kind of like angry. I guess, you know what I mean? I was just very...
Didn't have the same end goal.
And they didn't like it, so...
Killing the buzz, man. We're just hanging out trying to drink some beer and rock, and you're like...
Yeah,
well,
and I'm like, we got to rehearse, man. We got to learn this song. Like, let's write some more songs, and let's do this. And nope, I was the only one that wanted that, I guess.
So was your second band more of the same mind?
So that was the band I played guitar in, Word This Cause. And I was going to say, as we went through, like, I don't know, 10 drummers, like Spinal Tap. And one of the last drummers, like, came and tried out and then left his kid there and never came back. So I would sit out there and I just started, playing the drum. I guess I kind of had like a natural knack for it. And after that band disappeared, I bought a drum kit. And like a year later, after playing drums only a year, I joined Rubber and pretty much learned to play drums by gigging. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
It's amazing how many stories you hear of people who started playing drums because somebody left a drum set.
Yeah, it's like there's like a whole collection of people just leaving drum sets.
Yeah, I mean, we had drum sets that people just were like, I guess they decided after that, like, I'm tired of dragging that thing around.
Fuck this instrument.
Like
it has
we were-
97 pieces and
this
stands.
was a good drum set too. It was like a Pearl series. I don't remember what, but it was a nice drum set.
Playing with y'all was so bad that he was just like, I don't want to play anymore. Like, it's not worth it. That used to be always my joke. It's like, man, I guess we suck so bad. They were like, I give up on drums forever.
So I got kicked out of that band, and we kind of didn't talk for a while, and now we're all friends again.
Is that Rubber?
No, that was
Worthless
Worthless Cause.
Okay, gotcha.
Jumping
So
ahead.
went straight into Rubber playing drums, and like everybody in that band had basically just picked up an instrument, including myself. But like I said, they were all very driven, and like I don't know if you know those guys, like Davey. I can't remember all their name. Davey was the singer. I mean, he really went for it. Even though he didn't know how to play, he was teaching himself. And like we wrote these songs in a few months, and we just hit it like hard. We did like 100 and something shows in a year.
Oh, wow.
And we got hooked up with the guys from 30 Foot Fall, and they took us out on the road. We were going hard. And the reason I got kicked out of that band, or at least this is what I kind of came to realize, was they got really into well, we got to dress like this, and we can't play these songs in front of this crowd. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? We just play what we play. We wrote.
Right.
And they were they got where it was they were trying to figure out how to become this alternative band, and I guess I kind of lost interest, and they kicked me out.
You just want to play music.
I just wanted to play. I didn't want to dress a certain way. I looked the same since 1987.
You and Sam dressed exactly alike.
I get my clothes at shorts and t-shirts. Well, short t-shirts I get
At Old Quarter
from
shows?
bands, yeah.
Some of the band T-shirts may change, and not all of them. Just it worked good back then.
But in keeping with the theme of things, this is literally playing music was all I wanted to do. There was no doubt. I didn't think, I'm going to be a truck driver or whatever.
Yeah.
Music. The jobs I had were just a means to the to get to the weekend or to the gig, and and we practiced 3 or 4 days a week and played hundreds of shows and slept on sidewalks, and this happened really quick when I was in my 20s. It was just straight from Santa Fe, rural Hicktown, straight to the Montrose, and just touring all over the place, and just I was still a kid. I thought I was a grown up, but I was 21 or.
Yeah, that's when really, man, Houston was blowing up as far as you had all those bands 30 Foot Fall, Monster Soup, Bickley.
I stepped right in when all that stuff, I just out of nowhere, just all of a sudden we're doing shows with Bickley, and we're doing,
Yeah.
which then I guess led me to the Hates, which was my longest. That was 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I didn't realize you were in the Hates that long.
Yeah, nobody did. Every time we played a show, 16 years. What happened to Screech? Is Screech still your drummer? That was the drummer before me.
Oh, it's for
I'm
16
I've been in
years.
this band 15 years, and they still asking about Screech. What the hell?
That's funny. Well, we used to do know the dudes from Mojo Nixon's band, and his drummer Whit. He's everyone's where's Skid Roper? What happened to him? It's Skid was in the band 5 years. Because I've been in the band 20, and they're still asking where he's at. And it's it's me.
That was-
I've been here forever.
That was it. I was, and I guess maybe I just looked so out of place. I didn't look like, like everyone else had mohawks, and
Yeah.
I had long hair and looked exactly like this. Maybe a little bit skinnier, but like other than that, basically the same.
Yeah. I mean, man, that was Christian's thing when he worked for the city. I guess he probably still works for the city. I mean, you drive through like
No, I think
Montrose
he's
area. He's
retired.
out working. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yes. It's been a
He's
while.
like 70 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I hope
I
he's
was
retired.
23 when I joined the Hates, and he was 41.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
I mean, he'd been doing the hate since the late 70s.
78, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you joined
Wow.
like a seriously established band.
Yeah, and it was so that's the weird thing is like I've been lucky enough to be in bands that were just like semi-famous or almost became semi-famous. Like right after they kicked me out of Rubber, they changed their name to the Westbury Squares and got signed to a record deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And they had a little splash, but he gave it. I guess they just kind of, it fizzled, but. And then the Hates, like, were in existence so long that they're, like, in the history books of punk rock. And when we went on tour, like, people were like, because everybody had been listening to the Hates for 20, at that time, it was already, like, 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was in the early 90s. And so we finally, like, we talked, actually, my wife, because she's been with me the whole time, and she talked us all in, like, you need to take this on the road. Like, y'all are just sitting around playing Houston, and, like, 5 people are coming to your show. So it started out with the LA trip, and it just, that spurred, like, we would just go out to the West Coast. It was mostly West Coast runs with the Hates. But, I mean, we were playing, like, bars, and it was just Tuesday night. People were, like, coming from Mexico to see the Hates.
Jeez.
That's
It
awesome.
was crazy.
Yeah, you kind of took it for granted because, I mean, like, man, I don't think Christian ever said no to a show.
No.
Like, he'd be like, hey, we're doing this thing, this tribute thing, we're doing this fundraiser. He'd be like, the Hates. The Hates. I mean, you could see them like all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably saw you with that band without realizing it was you probably like 25 times.
I can't even. And the weird thing is, in 16 years, there were years in there where we played maybe 6 shows, and we just couldn't get any shows. Like, nobody wanted to book us. It like right now, Christians consider like this punk rock godfather of Houston, but like when in the 90s, I don't know, man. Like there was some hate going on there. Like the Hates didn't get any love. I'll tell you that. There was times when we had to beg for gigs, and I mean, for his credit, he does what he does, and he does not change. He does not turn down. He doesn't.
Yeah, like I'm here.
He does everything, and that's why I love that band, because we did what we wanted to. Like there was nobody, like Christian didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care,
Yeah, just we're here to
we
rock.
were good to get. Dave was a great bass player. He was a little weird, but but I can
a bass
overlook
player.
stuff when
Typical.
when the musician's really that good. So
Yeah.
we worked well together, and we did what the Hates did. We didn't care, we didn't turn we played a show out in Vegas, and in Vegas there's slot machines in everything. So the bar obviously had slot machines. There was the bartender, a bike messenger, I think my wife was there, and 2 old ladies playing slot machines. It's just like, but we didn't turn down. We didn't worry about the old lady. We had like stacks, and we were just like going at it. It's like the Hates were just like hardcore. I mean, they're
You have the same show whether it's 100 people or one.
yeah,
you know?
it's like and he'll never stop, man. This guy's like, I remember a kid asked me one time. He says, "How come you don't have any tattoos?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I figured, if you're in this kind of lifestyle, you're in it. I'm like, "What the?" That's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "I've been, doing this like 20 some odd years. What do you mean? You're like 17. Don't tell me, like."
You gotta look the part.
Right.
I'm like sitting here like,
The uniform. Gotta have the uniform.
It has nothing to do with all that,
yeah,
It's
no, it just has to do. And most time you have all the tattoos, it's because you know people that do it. It's like,
Right. Your friend's like, I gotta practice circles. Would you like to be? Can I use your leg?
I love tattoos, but I never had the money to get them. Like it was like really early 90s when everybody was starting to, unless you were like a sailor or
Wait,
a
but
biker.
let's
That's
be
true.
happy you didn't get a tattoo in the 90s, because your choices were tribal or a barbed wire armband, or the quintessential tramp stamp. So kind of consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, so, but I never, occurred to me to do it. It was just like, just because I like punk and metal, I don't know. I just never, like, I drank all the time.
And plus, it's
And
like
I had to make sure I had money for that,
Like
not
priorities.
tattoos, you know, it's like,
And as a drummer, man, I feel like that's something that, you know, you get hot, you're moving all the time. It wouldn't be comfortable to be like, yeah, I'm getting, you know, millions of needle punctures of my arm right after, before I'm going out to play drums at like, you know, 200 beats per minute for about an hour. It's like, no, I'm good, dude. I'm good. Just gonna hang right here.
man, it was a physical job playing for him, you know, like everything was 150 miles an hour. It was like, I just would be drenched in, you know, sweat. The grossest thing that probably ever happened was we played a show out in San Francisco, and it was at the end of the run, and we were down there. We played Los Angeles, San Diego, then came all the way back to San Francisco to finish out. And we went on at midnight. I mean, you only do like 45 minutes in punk bands. You don't do no hour and a half.
Yeah.
But we gave it our all and just sweating. And so we just threw the gear in the van, and the bass player had to be in court Monday. So so we just drove like 30 hours straight back to Houston, and like I never changed my clothes or took my shoes off.
Oh, wow.
And so when I did, like the bottom of my feet basically fell off. Like,
You had like jungle rot, dude.
yes, dude, for 30 hours of sweaty. So I don't know why. It was just like we were just running on adrenaline and like caffeine and just
Yep.
straight through. Like we stopped one time to sleep in like a hotel parking lot for 30 minutes, and then
Were you the driver when you guys were on the road?
No. We would be flying down. I don't know if y'all have ever been, when y'all travel, y'all go down I-10.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like that's the main. There's some gas station out there in the middle of nowhere where like there's band photos all over the walls from all the tour buses that stop there. But anyway, we'd be flying down at like 150 miles an hour at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's like deer lining the.
Oh, my gosh.
Like if one of those would have just jumped right out, that was it. The little minivan wouldn't have made it through. You know. So.
That's even the best part of the story for me. It's like the minivan. It's like, you know, you're rolling the minivan.
It's not a bus; it's a minivan.
No, that's I think that's the funniest part is like, you know, you're in a band at the time, been around for 20 years, and you're touring in a minivan. You know, I think too many people think that the second you're a touring band, oh man, it's you know, at least a nice van, right? A big van. I didn't get a big van until I went and bought one for when I was with the Grizzly Band, and when I got rid of it, I was thankful to get rid of it because it was gross at that point. You know, 5 dudes in a tin can for no, thank you. But yeah, people have this weird kind of like. It's like this fantasy they've created about touring. Like, it's amazing. And it's like, nah, it's really not. Like, you might go to some cool places. I remember going to Chicago for the first time and only being in Chicago for like, 12 hours. We came in to play the show and had to be in like Philly the next day. All right. So you got in at nighttime and we literally, I remember spending an hour and a half getting to see Chicago the next day, and I got pizza and that was it. It's like this, it's not romantic. It's it's work.
It's a lot of van rides and Whataburger bathroom or whatever bathroom.
Oh, dude, whatever you can find.
Man, like Burger King. But I say this, I did have a day job too. Like I never went without. I never was brave enough to just dive straight off into playing music, because playing punk rock, you just didn't make any money. Maybe it would have been different if I'd been like a country band or something.
Well, and
But,
everybody I
just
knew
loved
in my
playing
20s had 2 jobs. Like, we all worked 2 jobs.
Yeah, so I guess that's
same.
the
I
whole
never
thing,
didn't
So
have
I
a
had a
job.
real. I was a machinist. I became a machinist totally by accident, but I did become a machinist. So I had that job 22 years. It afforded me doing stuff like, I didn't have to worry about, by the time, I was touring with the Hates, I was already making okay money in my day job. So, it wasn't as harsh as like when I was like younger, like when I started with Rubber, we would sleep in the car and stuff. And like, so, so many years, because man, how long was it before we started touring with the Hates? It wasn't right at the beginning. It was maybe, I can't remember. I just remember what started. We were on a The Damned, that band. There was a tribute, and we contributed a song to the record, and they had the CD release out in L.A., and so they invited us. We were like, well, so that was like our first foray into like leaving Texas.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of like, we liked it so much that that's when we started doing all that.
Well, it's a good way to get out and see things. I mean, if you get an hour and a half, some places you get more time.
But, I guess my point was I drifted. I get long-winded. I'm sorry, y'all.
Oh, no worries.
My point was that having that day job and then also doing the touring thing, I would... maybe it was just my job, but I would much rather go to. I hated my job, so it was a Tuesday night, and we packed this club in Phoenix. It was called Jugheads, I remember, and people were just like buying us pitchers of beer, and nobody drank but me. So I'm just like, and I stopped it for a second. I go, it's Tuesday night in Phoenix, and look at what's going on. I love this, man. I love it, dude. Like,
it's like I say on stage when we're touring, it's like usually, I have to go back to work on Monday. Thank y'all so much. Nobody stands up and claps for me at my job.
Facts. Well, unless you have my job rocks.
People clap for you at your
Age is
I don't want to talk.
Exactly. I mean, dude,
the teacher.
I'm a teacher, man. But that's a nice part about
Scariest profession of all.
It gets scarier by the day. But that's the nice part about my job is like I only work 187 days a year. So I have tons of time in the summer and odd breaks to go tour. So it makes it fun. I can enjoy that. But man, when you first start out doing the touring thing, even when you're naive, you just think it's going to be this adventure. And it is to an extent, but it's also very stressful. People, I think, take that part for granted because there is no safety rope out there. Even though you have your 9-to-5 job, when you're out in the middle of America and the spindle on your trailer breaks, you got to figure that out, and so I think that's the fun part of it too, is as you grow and you kind of make those connections on the road and you start meeting more people, you're like, well, we're only 15 minutes from so-and-so's place, I can call them, and so that's kind of the fun part of it too when you get to that level.
Yeah, people, and it's always fun when the hot dogs in the cooler are getting lower and lower and it's like we only made $4 on Monday night here. It's like, oh god, it's like I left with enough money. You're like, nope, did not.
Right.
So there's a lot of fun in that worry. So yeah, it's a little more stable at home.
It's amazing the hour or whatever you're on. I mean, no matter what, that was always,
100%.
I can't think. The only time I did not want to go on stage was when I did some time in a cover band. About 5 years. I'm old, so I got all this like 20 years here, 10 years here, But so yeah, but I can tell you with the hates, especially, it did not matter. I love to play just setting your gear up and just going at it because it was just such a different thing, man. There's so much. It's aggressive, but we're not mad.
Right.
It's just like this. Man, it's amazing feeling. I tell everybody, especially like singer-songwriter, you just don't know. Like maybe I don't understand because I'm not a singer-songwriter, but if you have to experience that one time where you just go balls out, just like the amps are cranked and like your hands are bleeding from like hitting like cymbals, and you just have to experience that one time.
Yeah, as you throw it all down. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those shows are always fun when you've been in the van or the vehicle for all day long driving, and you finally get to like just peel yourself out of that seat and you go set your stuff up. And it's like you just play a set and you're just like everything just is left there on the floor, and it's like that was worth it. That's when it is, like being on the stage and things like that. That's what makes it fun. Even when you're only playing to the TV that's on.
It's the Otis Gibbs had a lyric like 15 hours in a car to play 45 minutes in a bar. It's like, yeah, it's what you do, man.
I don't know, man. I think this just like doing original music is so much. I mean,
it's satisfying.
Yeah, it just feels better. It's like everybody says that thing about I didn't play covers because I couldn't learn them. Like, and it's actually kind of true because there's no way I was gonna learn Metallica or like crazy riffs. So I learned how to play Anarchy in the UK and just kind of rearranged that, and wrote songs like that. My first few bands. It's like I was not gonna learn riffs and
no, that's how it is. Like your first band, like we talked about last time. You basically sound like every one of your influences, and if you happen to be like a huge, I don't know, like Reba McEntire fan, you might sound like her. By the way, this is another plug to get Kim Barker to perform Fancy at a Brightwire show.
Happening.
I even think.
Oh my God!
You're going to edit this out, right?
Joel would let it happen at the Old Quarter.
Absolutely.
No, you can't play covers at the Old Quarter.
I will allow it.
This will be your one chance, Fancy. Don't let me down.
There's a sign, Joel. I can't violate the sign. I'm sorry.
We'll do it during sound check. That way, it's not technically
there we go.
Audience.
Well, the other night, like Matt the Electrician ended with a Lionel Richie song.
Oh wow!
Which one it was like dancing? And I don't remember.
Dancing on the ceiling?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's the jam.
That is the jam. That is the skating rink jam.
Oh my gosh!
He made a comment. He was like, "I bet you most people who play here they end with the Townes Van Zandt song." And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm gonna leave you with this Lionel Richie song. And he's just like, what?
That's perfect.
That's
just break up the monotony.
Heck yeah.
I don't really know how doing all that led me. I mean, I do like there's a line that led straight to the Old Quarter.
Well, it is kind of the odd thing because I mean I know the Hates played there.
Yes, that was my
Back
first time.
RJ shows. That's interesting. How did you end up? We mentioned it earlier, but Joel does run the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe in Galveston now. He brought it from Expel 5 years ago.
2017, January 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost 6. Man, it's supposed to be the 6th anniversary. So how did you go from drummer of historical punk rock band to like I own one of the most historical listening rooms for singer-songwriters?
That was a wake-up thought for a little while. Like when I first bought it, I'm like wake up and go, oh my God, I just bought the Old Quarter. How am I going to keep this going?
Yeah.
Because literally I was playing in a band, and like the reason I grew up in Santa Fe, Galveston County, and I formed that band when I was 19, and it was like pulling teeth trying to book a show in Galveston County. You had to call people back then. You couldn't email them. And they're like, who you sound like, 311? Or like, I'm like, no, like, I don't know what we sound like. We just want to play a show. So that was went to Houston. It was like totally different story that they wanted, any night of the week, you could play original music at any number of venues. And back here, it was just like, learn some Skinner and like play at the bar down the street. I'm like, no.
So it was an original music desert.
Yeah, and like in Houston, you could, play, like I said. But anyway, so we got invited to play in Galveston. I was like, there's a venue in Galveston. It was RJ.
Yeah.
I do have a funny story about that show. I might have told y'all before. But anyway, so I walked in. I'm like, man, there's an original. I just fell in love. I was like, holy crap. This is like it was like a cool punk rock bar, really. It was kind of divey, and there's posters everywhere and stunk a little bit.
It's an endearing smell.
So I fell in love, and like I'm not sure if the Hates ever came back, but shortly thereafter I formed a band with some high school friends called Red Cap. I loved that band, man. I thought, man, that was one. I mean, we were really good together. That was one of those things where if you ever been in a band, if you're not in a band with the right people, it don't work. I don't care if the guy's a great guitar player or whatever, if you just ain't there. And I've been lucky with that with Red Cap and with the Hates, where we just locked in. And anyway, where was I going with that? I formed Red Cap.
And then you played
so then after that, like we made a record and like we did a CD release at the Old. So every band I've been in is just Old Quarter. It's the only place. Now it's changing. There's a few other venues popping up in Galveston County, but back then, nothing. You had to, do 3 hours of cover tunes if you wanted to gig anywhere in Galveston County. Yep. So the Old Quarter, I always say, it was this beacon of light, just original, and I just love that. I didn't know too much about Townes Van Zandt. I knew who he was, and I think I'd seen that documentary, Be Here to Love Me, but I wasn't a songwriter, I was just a musician. I just loved the room because it catered to original music. So over the years, I learned who Guy Clark was and all that. So it was always my dream, because my wife says I'm a dreamer. She says, you're a dreamer, you're never satisfied. You own the Old Quarter, but I still want to keep, I'm like, I'm going to get a bigger venue. And then she's like, you're never happy. No, she doesn't say that. But anyway.
Call that being driven. I think we were just talking about that.
Right.
So what made you decide you were going to buy the Old Quarter?
I was a dreamer. I said, man, it would be cool to own. I love putting on shows. And so, man, wouldn't it be cool to own the Old Quarter? We had like moved down there. And I just kept thinking about it. And by that time, let's see, I was in my early 40s. I was doing really well at my day job.
Yeah.
I had worked my way up pretty high, and I was making good money. And I don't know, opportunities presented itself, and Rex said he was going to retire, and I was like, I'd love to keep it going. I said, I don't want to change anything. I just want, and I said, if not, thanks for all the music. And he accepted.
Wow. So this was 2017.
This started in 2016.
2016, okay.
I mean, it happened pretty quick. I didn't really think about it, because like I said, I jump into the deep end with everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
All gas, no brakes.
Just figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I have to go live with my parents again or something.
My mom cooks really good, so I'm cool with that.
So I bought it, and like all the scary stuff hit me later. But we're going almost 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
I've seen it all now. Somebody tried to kill everybody in the bar. I've seen fights. I've seen all kinds of.
So it's pretty resilient because like like we've talked about before with the Ike getting to 2008, I think that's when Rex was like, okay, I'm done. Like it got destroyed. Like
I didn't think he was going to come back after that.
Like I say, I don't think Rex necessarily wanted to. I think he was like, I'm going to Arkansas. I'm done. But then like the entire music community was like, man, we can't let the Old Quarter go.
Right.
So everyone did all this, made all the money to fix it back.
He's like, dang it.
Like, now I'm here back in Galveston.
He said he had to tell them stop sending money like they were sending.
Oh, wow.
Put me too high of a tax bracket. Chill the fuck out.
That place ran on cash. I didn't think you had to worry about it.
But, then you come in and you get hit with the whole COVID shutdown and everything.
Well, but you had a good, a couple of years
We
before
had,
that hit.
about 2. We was really kicking into high gear. And I had booked a bunch of, I went on that cruise and I had booked a bunch of people off that outlaw country cruise. And man, we were filled up and it was like, bye. And nope.
So is that one of your favorite parts of owning the Old Quarter is going out and seeing bands and then trying to book them? Or would you say it's been discovering new artists?
To me, it's just being immersed in music 100% of my life. There's no other thought in my head other than the Old
So now
Quarter.
you work full time in music.
And it's not even a job. It's that's what I tell people. It's my wife asked me one day. She's like, "What day are you off?" And I said, "Babe, let me tell you something. I'm off every day because I don't have a job. That's not a job. That is a pleasure.
Like a passion project?
I get as much pleasure putting on a show there as I do playing music. It feels almost the same. And it's cool to get to work with Ray Wiley Hubbard and, these dudes that Alejandro Escovedo. It's man, dude, I get to run sound for this dude. So, it's a thrill for me,
So can I ask you that? Did you know how to run sound before you bought the Old Quarter?
Absolutely not.
He was a drummer. Come on.
Yeah, I'm I need more bass in the monitor and just a little bit of vocal. And no guitar, nothing.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to a mix that a drummer gets in a monitor? It's hilarious.
You do not want to hear anything else that's going on with the bass line.
Gotcha.
Especially me, because I love guitar so much. If I'm playing drums and the guy's really good, I'll be listening to him and I'll mess up playing drums because I'm listening to. So I'm I don't want to hear that guitar. I just need the bass right here. So yeah, I did not know. I taught myself. I think I do it pretty good. Not to pull my own chain.
No, you do. That's what I'm saying. You can tell you're into it because that room, it's probably one of the best sounding rooms
it is.
we're ever in. I mean, in a way, it's bad because every other place man,
This sounds like crap.
What's
When it
always
does it.
so crazy to me is we've played all over the country so far, and you bring out a dobro and sound guys oh crap, because it's gonna feed back. I never have that problem at Old Quarter. I never have that issue. I don't know what he does there. I don't change anything on my settings.
doesn't do a bass boost or something. Everybody else feels like they turn the bass up. It's just anytime you hit the E string, it's or the D for you.
Oh yeah, high pass filter. When I figured out what that was, my life changed. I had no idea what that was.
We'll just get rid of that. Doesn't really add anything we want to just cut that right out.
The very first I still have the same PA, but when I first bought it, one of the first people I ran it on was Ruthie Foster, and oh my god, that was the worst night of my life because it kept feeding. The monitors kept. I knew nothing about ringing out monitors. I didn't know about high pass, low pass. I didn't know anything. I was just dragging that thing around trying to eliminate whatever, And she finally gave up and just, But Ruthie's got this. Have you ever seen Ruthie Foster? She's just she's like a gospel singer.
Project,
she can just doesn't even need a mic. She just stepped back and just started laying into it. She's never been back since either.
Oh man.
And I apologized profusely. I was I'm sorry. I just got this thing. I'm still learning it. But now
Anyone listening knows Ruthie Foster. It's better now. It's really good.
The sound is awesome now, Ruthie.
Yeah, top notch.
That's a big music thing, though. We were talking about Rebecca learning bass on stage. I learned to play lap steel with an old band on stage. It's he learned sound on stage.
Well, what are you going to do? You're going to have a band come over and set up and do a 2-hour show while you learn how to use the... No, you just
Once what
do
you
what
do,
you got to
you
do.
find a band that really wants to play there and be like, hey, man, if you come help me test out the sound system.
There you go. Yeah.
I've found that a lot of times, at first I would try to get people to come in and help me, show me, what I'm doing. And I realized nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
They know their own equipment.
Exactly.
Will you stop telling our secrets?
I don't know why it does that on yours. It doesn't do it on mine.
Exactly. So I just stopped asking people and I got YouTube and just kind of
That's the way to do it because like, I'm pretty good with running sound dust stuff, but always with like analog boards and things like that. And when we played with Emily Denny and Tay and the Rough Riders, Sound Dude no-showed. So
At Dan Electros.
Yeah. So we sit back there, and it's got this thing where it's only like 10 channels, but it's a 30-channel mixer, so you get to go into stages. And for some reason, the main ones up there were broken between two. So, like, poor Emily Denny, it's like I don't think she had acoustic in her monitor. So we're like, I don't know where the acoustic comes in. And then by Tay and the Rough Riders, like, we gotten better. And then by our set, we like read through all this. Like, we're back there with the manual while people are playing, reading it. Oh, okay, now we can give them some more vocal here.
It was so bad.
I don't understand the need for all that nonsense. Why do you need a big old board? Like, literally, I do full bands with that iPad.
Yeah.
And I mic everything out. I mean, I don't mic the whole kit out, but I could.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Like, I used to see those boards, and they were just like NASA Control Center. I'm like, what in the world?
Why do you need all those knobs?
Especially for small rooms. Like, I understand if you're in, a large place where you have speakers far enough apart where they have to be, like, you have to do the echo test thing. So it's like, well, by the time this hits here, we got to do a 20 millisecond delay. So this speaker's the same exact.
Right.
But yeah, when you're talking about like some of these small rooms, like, cool, we've got like I think even Fitzgerald's used to be that way. Like, that's not a big room. And it'd be like, here's our 50 channel. And it's like, dude, like, I mean, I did see Mr. Bungle there once. So maybe that was where they used the 50
I saw
channels.
Tomahawk there.
Same deal, It's like, it's like
kind of the same band.
Mike Patton's like, I need 10 XLRs just for my setup I've got right here.
But, I'd like bringing it kind of back around to like what the whole subject matter of this thing was. Like, last night Gabe invited me to Cowboy Surfer. You heard of this place?
Yeah.
Out like on West Houston.
Yeah.
And he told me the names. I was like, I don't know who they are, but it's Tuesday. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm gonna go check it out. And it turned out like it was Tommy McLean and CC Adcock. They're like these swamp blues. Well, the Tommy guy got sick. He's an older dude, and so this guy just did a solo set. And he kind of made a joke about, like, I met this kid the other day, and this dude's done some stuff, man. He's done like soundtrack work for like True Blood and stuff like that. Anyway, he said this kid said he bought my CD when he was a teenager. And he's like, it made me feel like old or whatever. He goes, and look how far it got me. Like, kind of like I'm just in this little joint, And I'm like, man, I hear people make that joke all the time, like at the Old Quarter, because it's a small room. But I'm like, man, you're like living the dream, man. Like, to me, growing up and going to see bands, they were always in clubs. I went to see bands in clubs. I didn't go to like the Summit or whatever to see big rock shows. It was club shows. And that's all I ever wanted. I wanted to play club shows and make a living doing that. So, but when somebody kind of comes down on themselves because they're playing a small room, which is full, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you've made it.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with driving a Rolls Royce or being a rich man. You know how lucky you are to get to play music and make your living doing it, not...
Well, and that's kind of the cool part of, like, with Old Quarter, seeing like Ray Wiley Hubbard. You're seeing him, he's literally 10 feet from the furthest point in the room. And it's like, you're seeing a living legend. How many times are you going to see him before he's done? And it's like, don't take that for granted. Be happy that you're in a position where people can actually touch you and be in the room. Because, I mean, when you go to those giant shows like that, what are you really getting? You're basically watching a performance that you're not really part of because you're one of 1,000 or so people.
Yeah, I could have watched it on YouTube. I'd much rather be in a small room like the Old Quarter where...
Yeah, every time that I've gone to the Old Quarter, the artist, I've got to mingle, talk to the artist. Like Joe Ely came in at the bar, sat at the bar with us one time, like, jerking his wine. We were, I mean, that was like, Joe Ely's sitting there talking to me, or like Ramblin' Jack Elliott sitting there asking me about my guitar. Like, I was like, wow, dude, what universe did I fall into, So, but then it would only happen because I've been to a million, like even theater shows, and the artist disappears out the back door.
Oh yeah.
And at the Old Quarter, they you can't, dude, you're gonna catch him one way or the other.
Well, and that's like the best part. Like, we caught Jesse Dayton there one night, and show's over, and Chris, the bass player, goes to take a break. He has to go to the front through the front door, and so next thing you know, you're all hanging out with him in the grass. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in the grass outside of Old Quarter with musicians, from all levels, and it's a great kind of equalizer. Those guys play there because they know the history of it and the quality that they get from it, and also that their fans get a better show because you can interact.
Yeah.
One of my best things with the Old Quarter was I remember we went and saw Scott H. Byram there, and Ian had been my son had been waiting in line to go to the bathroom, like 3 or 4 people back. And right when he's about to go in, Byram runs up and was like, "Hey man, can I go to the bathroom?" And Ian was just like, "No." And he's just like, "I gotta go. Like, I'm about to pee my pants." And it was like, "I guess the show's just gonna have to wait." And he was like, "Yeah." Like, he went in, I'm like, "Use the bathroom." And I was like, "You're at the Old Quarter. You can make the show wait until you're out of the bathroom if you know to do play it just right." That was kind of the deal too. It's like, what kind of thing is that? Well, the show's not going to start till I'm out. He's like, "Well, yeah, then you're waiting for me." I'm like,
Right.
Use
I'm
the
making sure I
ladies'
don't
room.
miss any of
Byron.
this. Like,
Hey, don't, man. He did some weird stuff there before. Like, at one show, he just kind of went into these like long jams and like.
I think we were at that
continued
show.
to play until
Yes.
everybody just kind of started leaving.
Wow.
Till there was like 2 people left, and I still smoked then, so I was like outside smoking. I wasn't even really watching the board anymore because
Wow.
he just kept going and going. And finally, like the last person gets up and walks, and I'd come back in, and he walks over. He's like, "Oh, sorry,"
you know, man, no one can say they didn't get enough.
but like people didn't know what to do. They're like, "Did we just sit
Yeah.
here?" And like they'd kind of peel off real slow and like.
Yeah, I think it's time.
But he never looked up. He just he just kept his head down and he kept playing like all these metal riffs.
Yeah.
Wait, but the best part about the Old Quarter is the loud front door. Like, there is no coming in and out quietly.
That's true.
Like, he had to hear every.
My wife made me fix it. It's not loud anymore.
That's funny.
It's ruining shows, Joel. Fix
Yep.
it.
Another good thing about the Old Quarter is you make the audience be quiet.
Yes.
So, you know,
That's
Rex
my
would say
favorite
stuff
thing
back in
about the
day.
Old Quarter.
But one of my favorite memories was going with my brother to see Adam Carroll there, and there was this loud couple, and that's back when Rex had the speakers outside, and this couple kept being loud and all this stuff, and finally they got up and walked out. Adam Carroll's like, "Man, I didn't think those people would ever leave." And then sure enough, the drunk husband went home, and the wife comes back in, and she could hear and he said a lot more, and the audience is like, "Yeah, like they suck," and all this, and then she comes in like, sorry. But she sat down and was quiet the rest of the show.
But that's what I was actually just telling somebody at work today. They were asking me about the Old Quarter, and I said it's the best sound you'll ever hear. So if as someone that you love is playing, don't hesitate. If you don't have anything to do one night, the shows are curated. Like, Joel has vetted these artists. He knows that they're going to be awesome and fill a room and really play some good music. So
He let
every
us play
surprise show that we've showed up for, I've always been like, damn, how did I not know about this person? You know?
Yeah, there's been some really good stuff. That's the thing, man. It's like, and that's kind of what's good about the venue and everything is it's a place that people trust. Like, people have been our shows there, and
Yeah, thanks for letting us play the
not a
Old Quarter,
lot
by
of
the
them
way.
come to see us, but there's a lot of people who come in because, like, man, I'm here on the island. I got to go to the Old Quarter.
I just listening to y'all today. I was listening to y'all's record today. Of course, y'all gonna play. I don't listen to everybody's record that plays at the Old Quarter.
Well, I was talking to a coworker the other day because Sam's trying to get me to be more like interactive with people and let them know that what we do and like promote the band.
You mean you're supposed to do that? Man, I really
Supposed
should
to do
pay
that.
attention.
Yeah.
Whatever. I was like, listen, children, you like this band.
I do. It's really awkward when they
Yeah.
come in like, Mr. H, are your friends just really sad? I'm like,
All the time?
Yes.
Yes.
All the time.
We are. But a friend of mine had said, you know, there was like a meeting at work and I kind of mentioned what I do. And so everybody's been kind of like, oh, when do you play? What, you around town? And so I'd kind of rattled off some venues like Dan Electro's and the Old Quarter. And the next week, a coworker of mine, she was like, hey, she's like, we were going to be down in Galveston. So I was looking at that venue that you told me about. And me and my sister are going down there for a weekend. She was like, and I was just going to see what shows were playing. She's like, but I saw you guys were playing. I was like, yeah. She's like, not the weekend we were going, but I was like, yeah, we were on their website.
We're kind of a big deal.
But you know, like,
Medium deal.
I mean, as far as you're concerned, you know, you're gonna play music no matter what forever, right? As long
Yeah.
as your hands allow you to, or
Yeah.
your
As long as
voice
I'm
holds
physically
up.
able. Yeah.
You know, because it's not a choice. I mean, it's not a choice. It's something like that we are all, there's something in every one of us that makes us want to do that's different.
Yeah.
Because I would always say, what do normal people do on the weekends? Because I play,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
immediately, like, we're playing shows or rehearsing or
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's like, what did normal people do? Watch TV? They didn't have
Right.
good TV back then like they do now, you know.
Health was kind enough to share with us on another episode that his wife has told him that he's a complete asshole when he doesn't play
Yeah,
music, and
very much
that
so.
he needs
Said that
to do
too.
that.
Yeah, man. When you talk about the first episode, I'd been in this band for a long time, just parted ways, and it was like the death of someone. I was depressed, and I didn't know what depression was, and my wife was finally like, "You need to find some people to play with because I can't live with you." Like, it was like an ultimatum, and I was like, I guess I need to find some friends.
Thank you, Amber.
But that's also the thing too, is like, your nucleus becomes your band. Like, that's who you hang out with. I've just been
breaks your
fortunate.
heart, though.
Well, I've been fortunate that my best friend has always been my creative director for every band I've ever been in. So he's just tagged along with me everywhere I go.
Daniel Torres, what's up?
But it's like, it's heartbreaking when something falls apart that you love. Like, I really loved Red Cap. Like, Red Cap, I was so happy with that band. I thought that our singer wrote a really great song, that he sang really beautiful. Like, he loved John Prine so much so that he ripped off one of his songs. But anyway, but we were a really good band, and like, that was like the peak of my, like, I was performing them, so much, and I was just like, man, we were just good. And it just this dysfunctional family just finally, it collapsed, and I'm there, I'm the guy, like, we can power through this, like, let's do this, we're good, this is our chance to
We're
do
not
this for a
getting a
living.
divorce.
This is our first time that I've been in a band. I thought, well, I can like quit my job and make this work. And we were, I don't know, in our 30s, maybe close to 40. So, it felt like the end of trying to actually quit my job to play music. It was like towards the end of me even thinking that's possible.
Yeah, or that.
In my 30s or whatever. So I put this band together, and I was running simultaneous with the Hates. I was still playing with the Hates and playing with Red Cap. And when that fell apart, man, to this day, and it's sad because the dudes are still around, but we just can't be in a band together. Like, too much has been done, and it was devastating. And like, when that band ended, like you said, that's what's so funny. I wasn't playing with anybody, and my wife was like, "You need to find somebody because I'm sick of you snapping at me." And like, it was so weird that
You're just
you said
miserable.
that.
Well, that's like when the Grizzly band broke up, man. I was the last one to know. Literally, Sam knew before I did. Like, Sam calls me up. He's like, "Hey, man, so since you're free," and I'm like, "I'm not free. I'm waiting to play a Grizzly show. We got some stuff going on." And
Here's
Sam's
a
like,
screen cap from Chad.
yeah, like that is how it happened. And man, talk about it.
My God.
And I love Chad to death, and I have no ill will. Things happen, but man, it was just like, it's like you've lost that part of your life. It's gone.
You get the rug yanked out from underneath you.
Yeah, y'all were going at it hard too,
Yeah,
man. I thought y'all were like, as I remember going to see, I was like, man, y'all are pretty good. And then there was kind of like, I guess did y'all get signed?
Yeah, we were on Altercation Records, and
Y'all were kind of like touring.
Y'all were like
just,
so tight, man. Just so tight.
Yeah, that was my kind of stuff. I love like the Super Suckers and all that, just guitar rock and just like.
And man, it ended, and I was like in denial of it, and you're just like, no, it's gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna get a phone call, we're good, and and then it's like Sam's like, no, buddy, it's done. But it worked out great because he swooped in, took me under his wing, and so I didn't have that depression part of it, as bad. And Amber didn't threaten divorce, so I feel like that was a win.
There you go.
We're like the long-term rebound. Like,
Hey, it's all right. It worked out, didn't it?
We're the rebound band. I love
It
it.
was.
I still love you.
I still to this day, after reggae, I haven't really found a band that, like, I formed Blunderbuss. Was my super group.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. I got Copeland, Jimmy James Copeland playing guitar because I had seen him playing with the Holdouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we would do shows with the Hates and the Holdouts, and those were my favorite shows. And like, man, Copeland, man, he would tear it up. He had like a Marshall and like a Gibson, but he came with a cowboy hat and all that. So I was like, man, if I ever form a band, I'm gonna hire that guy. So it came up when I hired him, and I got a guy from Kevin Anthony's band, a bass player, Chris Gonzalez.
I know Chris, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is killer.
And I had met Chris because he interviewed Red Cat. They did an article about us in the paper. That's how I met Chris. But I formed Blunderbuss, and like, I was like writing songs. Then I actually wrote a couple of songs. We have like a record on Bandcamp, live from the Old Quarter Blunderbuss.
Nice.
So I wrote a couple of songs. I was really getting into it, and like, just they wanted to be friends, and like some of the people couldn't really get along, and I was like, it's okay, we don't have to get along, we just need an hour a day to rehearse and then to do shows. Just ignore your feelings.
Leave your feelings in the door.
And it ended. They couldn't, and I kept trying, like, you're like we put a 3-piece together and did it. It just never. And finally, I was like, I'm done, and like I'm never gonna give my soul to a band again because it breaks my heart every time.
I think that's something I like observed growing up, like because I wasn't in bands growing up like you guys were. I just observed from the outside, but you would see bands implode and just be like, oh, what about the music? What about the music? But I never really thought about what about trying to piece together 5 people's personalities and have them all try to back the same thing and make the same decision. It's tough.
The Ramones hated each other.
Yeah.
And they lasted like 20 something.
They made it work. I'm just saying. Look at the Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan just has his own tour bus.
The thing is what I was saying earlier about you can't just be in a band with anybody. They have to be the right people. Mm-hmm. And when you have that, it's worth fighting for. To me, it is. I was like, man, this is worth fighting for. Let's figure this out. But some people, it's just sad to say it's about just drinking and hanging out. Mm-hmm. And so they want it to be like it's like we're friends hanging out. I'm like, no, I want to play a show. Like, I'm about playing music when I'm on stage, and it's like, it ain't, we can have a good time. I'm not saying like I'm a stick in the mud, but if something's good enough, it's worth trying to, keep going,
Right.
There was, a couple of bands, the Red Cap and Blunderbuss, that I thought would have, I wanted to keep them going, but I fought, and it was like, I was always the one fighting for it, and nobody else would,
Yeah.
And so it's broken heart. Now I was like, man, I wish I could have become a singer-songwriter. I could just have an acoustic guitar myself and just
you. Yeah.
You don't need anybody else. Gabe Wooten, just like.
There you go.
That's as much as I used to complain when I was a teenager about, like, why do I always get stuck having to sing in this band? Not a good singer. Why? And then now it's like, well, cool, man. Like, I don't like this. We've been able to do this without it. We've always said if it organically grows and we find people that are like, hey, man, I'd love to play with y'all. And it happened kind of like with Health. Like, it was a duo, then Health fit right in. And we didn't want to have people where it was like, had too many bands where there's always like some member drama or somebody, like something. The band sluts, but the person who's like, you want me to play with you? I'll play with you. And you're like, dude, but we have a show. Oh yeah, but this one's gonna pay $300.
Right.
It's like, but this show was booked for
Wait, shows pay?
If you're playing with a cover band. When you're playing with that country cover band, then it's like, oh, cool, great.
You can't do that.
I mean, we used to have that stuff happen all the time, and it was just like, cool. It's like, oh yeah, no, you're just not gonna have a lead player, and I was like, okay.
That's fun.
So I have to go from the dude that plays like mandolin, lap steel, and stuff to like, I guess I'm going to try to wing it on lead guitar and see what happens. And, I could fake it, but there's like 3 riffs. And when you're playing 12 songs, it's like, I can't use these same 3 lead riffs.
Gotta change it up.
All 12 songs.
You can't play the same thing over and over.
Someone should have told that to the Ramones.
Right.
Well, so you still play in bands, right?
I do have a band. It's just for fun.
Yeah.
Although we're starting to talk about doing originals only because the first time we played the Old Quarter, we had to play covers because we didn't, it was just a rockabilly band. We do like surf music. I think y'all were there.
Yeah, we've seen you.
So Dwight has a few. Dr. Dwight, he's got a couple of originals, and I can steal some that I wrote for Blunderbuss.
What's it called? Your band?
I call it JM and the Honey Badgers. But
okay. I couldn't remember. That's genuinely
Can I get that on a T-shirt, please? Like, even if you only make one shirt, I'll wear that.
So it's just a way to keep my drum chops up because I just wasn't playing drums anymore. And I do enjoy it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, so you do that, and then you run the Old Quarter full time.
And a record
label. And you
label.
decided to start a record label like you weren't busy enough?
Right. What?
Well, if you saw the pace this record label moved at, you wouldn't be
I have seen it.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all are in producers on the record.
Yeah.
I do things at my own pace, I'm like,
Learn as we go.
But it happens. It'll happen. If I say I'm going to do it, I do it. I don't not.
What made you make that decision? What I mean, because record labels
that
are
head of mine. It's always floating in the clouds and just like I should do. I've written like 2 movies. I'm like they're in my head. Me and my son.
Really?
He was starting to help me write a script for I'm not even going to go into that. But we've started writing a script
We can
about
say you're-
Chicano punk band. So,
Awesome. So you're super creative.
so
and you
we're
just have
because
to
he's a
do-
huge Trailer Park Boys fan.
Yeah.
So I was like, what if we had these Chicanos? They live in a trailer park and they start this punk band. Like,
I would
it's
watch
like
that.
just sprung up from that, and it actually sprung up from something that happened with me and my mom. My mom lives in deep South Texas, so like there's like a lot of Hispanic, obviously down there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was oddly enough, there was a trailer park, and the name of the trailer park was Horizon. But somebody had put a C in front and said Chorizo.
That's great.
So it stuck in my head because I was with my mom and we just looked at each other and started laughing.
Right, that's great.
But so the title, the working title was of the movie was like "Good Times at El Chorizon" or whatever. Like that.
That's great.
And it was
Wow.
like this whole like we had these characters planned out, and
So do you ever sleep?
very rarely. I think I've had 3 hours today.
Oh my gosh. Punch drunk.
Because I had to get up and go to the bar and pick a beer delivery up, and it's like it never ends. So why sleep?
Yeah.
Video games and music and
I feel you. I'm that way.
no sleep.
Just yawn through the day. So everyone's like, stop doing that. It's like, dude, that's from the time I wake up. Like I'm yawning 24/7
Yeah.
or about 18/7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. We're playing a festival right now, and we're shooting a documentary right now. And my wife's like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, take it, slow down."
She's
a
like,
little bit,
focus,
pull back,
Joel. Focus.
But it's been good. Like even with the record label, I think it's been good that you were able to get Gabe to sit down and do a record.
Yeah.
Thank
Because
you.
Gabe, we've known for like I've been hearing some of those songs for like 10 years, and it was like, do you ever gonna record something? I did like a dance record one time.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like, no, dude, like, when are you going to do these songs? You got that. And the same thing with Heather. I mean, she had the one record, but all of these songs, killer songs, like, were nowhere to be found. So
She's got so many more too.
I wonder every time you see her, it's like, oh, I just wrote this one.
She's
It's like,
working on another record already.
Wow.
I'm super happy. I thought she was kind of indicating to me that she was going to retire, and I'm like, no. I
Yeah.
just met you. They all move away. Every time I fall in love with somebody, they leave. Like her, she moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
And there was another girl I used to love, Christy Hayes. I don't know if you ever saw her. She was living in Austin, and she would come down. Like I would have her play my birthday party. Just an amazing, like, oh man. She like took off to Montana, and she got married and moved to my And she's like, I'm not going to play that much anymore. I'm like, dang it.
Why?
Why can't I,
no kid, I'm a man. I know we're not worth that. It's like, keep playing your music. There's no
Right.
man worth giving up on this music.
man, y'all are good. I'm telling you, I said it to you the other day. That Crystal Beach song is probably one of the best songs I've ever heard.
That is the only reason I agreed to be in this band, by the way, that song. That's funny. Because when he called me to do A Place to Call Home,
Let's go home. Yeah.
I was like, I'll only appear on it if we can record Crystal Beach. And he was like, they have recorded it like 6 times already. And I was like, I don't care. That's my non-negotiable.
But
And
everybody
it's not
loves
that
that
your
song.
your other songs are good too.
Yeah.
It's just that song in particular, like I could see that being like
It paints a picture.
you're gonna be like on Yellowstone, man.
Right?
Oh, I got captured that.
Look how Isaac Hoskins.
Totally. If Yellowstone was at the beach, they'd hire you in a minute.
Which,
dude.
Right.
speaking of Yellowstone, man, our good buddy Isaac Hoskins.
Isaac, yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was in an episode. It was cool. We got to hang out this weekend in Little Rock, so it was good to see him. And like everybody was coming up, like, dude. Actually, everyone busted his balls at first. Like, I decided to show up, Mr. Movie Star.
Mr. Yellowstone.
When somebody was like, "What you're gonna play through a bar fight and not join in?" Like, what?
Brent Best is the only rock star at that place, man. I'm sorry.
Kind of like, there's definitely some Joel Brent parallels as far as like, sound guy at Dan's, like does all this stuff, like the fixture in the scene up there in Denton, and still comes out and plays with the whole band occasionally. And then it's like,
Look, man, one of my things about, when I was a kid and wanting to play music was fantasizing, like listening to like Guns N' Roses and pretending like I may even had a guitar by then. I was still like turn the stereo up and act like I'm on stage or whatever.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
So
Hairbrush.
in my head, even still, when I'm driving in the car, I picture myself like playing the drums, and like Slaughterburn is like the band I dream about that I started.
Yeah.
I wish I had started that or been part of it.
Right.
Because they are, like, to me, that's the epitome of all this country, like, punk stuff, like, they do it, like, perfectly.
Oh yeah, man, they're a killer band all the way around.
Well, and it's just what they do. That's the thing about it. It's not, they don't, you can tell that's just what they are. They're not trying to be anything, like we're alternative or we're like Texas country or whatever. It's just like that. They're just fucking slobber bones.
Yeah, dudes in jeans and t-shirts, except for Brian. Brian looks like he's in a country band, and then it's like the rest of them are just jeans and shirts.
Is that the bass player?
Yeah.
Tall, skinny guy. Oh, yeah, that was cool, man. I can't believe he threw up in the middle of the thing. I waited like years to see this show.
I know we were making fun of Tony about that. It's like, did you get plenty of water this year? Like, yeah. So everyone was talking about getting sick, and it was like, oh yeah, last year. I think I was at breakfast, and he was just like, yeah, like last year, man, like I just started, like, I'm fine, I got this. And he's like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk to the trash can. And he was like, nope. And just like fell.
Poor guy.
To me, Slobberbone should be up there with like Sunvolt and
because
anywhere. Sunvolt goes anywhere in the country, they sell out. But, maybe Slobberbone gets out of Texas and it shouldn't be that way because they're good enough to play anywhere and pack any venue, because that's
their
how
20th anniversary show was a packed house.
I like Lucero, but they make me forget Lucero.
They're a great band, but they just kind of had that, if you look back at history and all that kind of stuff, about the time when Slobberbone took a rest and they moved to, basically everybody started the drams except for Brian. And then it was like, but that was about the time when that scene of theirs started going up, like Southern rock opera hit for the Drive-By Truckers, right about the time that Slobberbone was like, well, man, like we're calling it a day.
Yeah.
They missed that boat
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Nothing may have changed, but they were kind of right along with that. I remember seeing the Drams open for the Bottle Rockets, and they were killer, which was still like the same band.
There's just not enough bands like that, like the Bottle Rockets, and like that are really genuinely good and just genuinely doing what they love. It's a lot of it's just fake. To me, it's just put on.
Yeah, you have to create almost like a TV show around it. You got to be on the TikTok. You got to have YouTube clips.
So much is social media now.
Yeah.
It's so driven.
Gosh.
I mean, you have to be this lame ass band that starts like a podcast or something. Trying to get stuff out.
Who would do that?
But you've had to create a whole social media persona for the Old Quarter.
It's terrible. It is so terrible, like looking for likes or thumbs ups or whatever. It's like, oh man, like I need to post something and people are gonna forget. And I'm like, man, I just want you to come to the show. Just look at the flyers I post. That's all you need to do. But the content that's just kind of like BS, like, it gets the most attention on social media. Anytime you try to like promote something, I maybe the algorithms kick it, to the back or whatever. Yeah. But it sucks. I hate I'm going on record right now. I hate the internet. The world was better off without it. I don't care what anybody. Music was better off without it.
I think what happened is, when you post about a show like through Instagram, right? It basically does like when we used to go flyer places and put the flyer underneath the windshield wiper. You're now seeing it in real, like in digital form of what it is. Basically, they're just like passing right past it. Yeah. They don't even see it. Like they're just pissed off because it's now stuck to their windshield. Well,
that was another thing we talked about this weekend. The internet used to be like, I remember tons of these people I knew that when we started going to Holiday Hangout and all these other music festival things around, that a lot of people I already knew or didn't realize I knew till I met them in person from like band message boards, or just from the scene, like, No Depression.
The Bottle Rockets forum.
Yeah, and stuff like that. All these bands are talking about people from like the Lucero forums and,
remember that.
The Uncle Tupelo message
postcard.
board.
And back when they had the postcards from hell, message, like
postcards from hell. And then that's been around since the 90s.
These, like chat rooms.
And I met
like specializing in like.
But last year I met someone who said they learned about the show that we were at from Postcards from Hell.
And that's
like
the
it's
thing.
still
Like
active.
it used to be everyone got together and it was like, dude, I'm really into this. Like, dude, I'm into this too. And you kind of created these. I mean, dude, we were able to tour off of that. Like,
it had
these
good
people
intentions
here.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of somewhere along the way, it's like, okay, now we're gonna, not
now
to get directly into politics. There's some bad people. It's like, how can we flip this and turn it around where everyone hates everybody, and we're gonna focus more on how much we hate everyone and how everything everyone else likes sucks, and the only thing that I like, and just somewhere it just flipped and was like, it's all about disliking everyone and creating this bullshit false persona. Instead of just be like, I'm just looking for people that are like the stuff I like, and it's like, hey man, like,
But here's
Just
what
wanna
it
hang
does to like this. We should have started. We have to do another podcast about this. 'Cause
Right.
I have so much to say about the internet and like the negative aspect of it. And like I said, I think it had good intentions at the beginning. Everything felt good at the beginning, but at this point, it's just become this. It's just horse shit. It's all it is. It's just it doesn't help you in any way.
It's a whole bunch
you
of
know,
noise.
there's this whole thing about booking working bands like yourselves by their metrics of their Instagrams and their streams.
How many followers we have on Spotify?
And that's such horseshit because there's so many people buying streams and like likes instead of doing it organically, like everybody, like we did growing. You know, like you did shit organically.
DIY.
It's not anymore. And I tried that, and I went off some guy and like nobody. There was like 10 people there to see him. I'm like, this is a lie. I will never use this. It's to me, it's all about talent now. It's all about, I don't care if you're the flavor of the month. I don't want you there. It's about talent. Plain and simple. Like, I listen to your music, and don't send me some polished Spotify thing either. I have to find a YouTube of you playing
Live.
Yeah, well, that's how it used to be. Like, you would send your press kit to the booking agent, and that's how they would do it.
Just shop you around like that.
Yeah, and but there was this human aspect to it. I have to take that CD, put it in my player, and listen to it, and that's what we've lost. It's now I'm not looking. It's kind of how we changed baseball. It's all based on numbers and not the actual physicality that goes into the process.
Right, and then you have some people have success. There's other teams that have great analytics that have no success. Someone said about the other day with Jeff Bagwell coming in with like, oh, I don't. The analytics don't mean as much, and it's like yeah, because most of these kids came up together, like they all knew each other.
Right.
It wasn't just like, oh, we just look at the Yankees, Dodgers, just buy these huge teams with strangers, throw them together, and they don't win because they'll win like a bunch of games in the playoffs. They don't because they're still like they don't have that camaraderie.
Right.
It's kind of like that with music. I mean, you know, you don't have that scene being built. It's like, oh, well, I paid to get all these Spotify hits. And like people we know are posting, I had like 2 million hits this year. And it's like, dude, like last show of yours I was at, there was like I was lucky I showed up. You know, it's like there weren't that many. Like, where are these millions of people? But a lot of it's doing the ads and getting people around the world. You get one person or I don't know, man.
Getting
it's just
added
weird.
to a playlist
Well,
somewhere.
you know, beyond all that, like to me, the internet it changed the dynamic of everything that had to do with, you know, what I loved and like me discovering, you know, knowing like from the very beginning who I was. I you know, I didn't know I was a musician because I didn't know how to play, but I knew I loved. I'm finding more and more that I talk to people that I used to think I was the only one that loved music like this, like that just lived and breathed. I have every record I've ever bought. Since my first record when I was 5 was an Elvis. I still have that vinyl at my house. I have every CD. Minus
Wow.
like somebody stole some, but I have everything. Cause I mean, there wasn't a moment in my life that didn't revolve around music. So I knew which direction I was headed in life, no matter what. Maybe I didn't. And so like I knew where I was headed, and it leads you into the right spot. You know, I found, you know, being in the Montrose was around people that were cool, man, like people like me that, you know, it didn't matter if you were a man, woman, gay, straight, but we all partied together, we all went to shows, we all played together, and like you were kind of isolated from the outside world, you know. But that's what, you know, because I had no desire to be around people that wore a tie to go to work every day. And like, I didn't want a white picket fence, nothing. I knew that's like the minute my brain wrapped around playing in that scene. And so you were isolated now, you know, because you had to be word of mouth, right? You either got record store flyer, or you go to other shows. Where'd you do? You flyered other shows, right? So it was all word of mouth and record. The back of zines, or you ordered records in 7 inches, and bands did split 7 inches. You know, that was this beautiful scene. And now anybody can just like hone in on anything because the internet. Oh yeah, there's this cool band from Germany. Oh, let me just Google them real quick. Bam, they're listening to them. It's like, and so it brought in an element of people that would never have been there in this scene had it not been for the internet. And so it kind of like ruined it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, it's not about, you know, being excluded, or it's just you want to be with your people, and you don't want to let people that don't understand how you feel. Like collectively, we didn't have to say I'm not a racist or I'm not misogynistic. We were all cool with each other, you know. And then, you know, with the advent of internet, it's like people coming into the scene that laugh when they see somebody with a mohawk, or like, you know, they're like,
right,
or like, you know, or they gross out because, you know, it's a different scene, man. When you were in that scene, it was different. different, man. There was no like negative energy there, you know, until it's like then all of a sudden it changed, and you got people.
Yeah.
That's kind of
It's like the skinheads trying to get in the show again, you know, like man, kick them out. Like I don't want you here.
That's kind of the downside of popularity too.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing all these bands that, you know, even back in the 90s and stuff. Like I remember seeing Blink-182 play at Fitzgerald's, and it was a pretty big show, but it was like Dude Ranch had just come out, and it was just
They
like,
didn't even have Travis Barker then.
I think it was Travis Barker's first tour.
Oh, okay.
And for us, it was like, oh, it's a dude from the Aquabats. Like, dude, he's with Blink now? And then, I was more excited to see the drummer from the Aquabats than I was to see Blink. I was just like, cool. I think we went because Unwritten Law played first.
Oh, man.
And I went to see Unwritten Law, and then it was like, oh, this other band plays after. But again, you know, it was sold out, but it was like Fitzgerald. It wasn't like a sellout at Fitzgerald's where the building was moving.
Been to
It was
those
just
shows.
sold out to where it was like, okay, this is a safe sellout. Like, we're not going to sell anymore. And, you know, but then after that, what was that movie, Can't Hardly Wait, or one of them was like, you know, Damn It came out and all this.
Yeah.
And, you know, next time they come through, they're playing a large venue, and
I
all
feel
the people
like-
that suck are there. Or even, you know, we were getting into alt country
People that
singer-songwriter
suck.
deal is, you know, I remember going to see Robert Earl Keen, and it was like pretty mellow show, and then all of a sudden, you know, Pat Green comes out and starts doing that, and all of a sudden you go to the Robert Earl Keen show, and it's like the frat dudes are there.
Yeah,
and they're
oh, yeah.
running the show. So as much as it helps financially, man, anytime something gets more popular, it's just terrible.
Yes.
Because all the people who don't give a shit are there.
Right.
You know,
Because it's to be seen there, and that's been my complaint about like the Houston music scene recently. Is like when you go to certain venues, they're not like we went to that Turnpike Troubadours reunion show at White Oak. Amazing show. They played great, but there were so many people who were just there to have their Instagram pictures and
Just
their
their
Snap
selfies.
check-in.
that Turnpike.
Yeah, it's like, look at me.
Oh, it's
and it's
terrible.
like, that ruins the show, because as someone who's there because I like music, I want to see them perform. I want to immerse myself in this experience.
That's
but
what
I
I'm talking
can't, because drunk people keep stumbling over me
Right.
to get up the hill to go buy yet another round of beers. And it's like, at this point, you're so blotched that you're not even realizing you're at a concert. And it's like, but you've spilled plenty of beer on me that I smell like I'm an alcoholic. And I'm like, that ruins the experience. And so I wish we could just go back to, if you don't like the band, don't go to the show.
It would be nice.
We're elitist. But no, but it does make sense. And that's kind of where I guess the point of this podcast was like talk about the good parts of not being everyone's like, don't you want to be famous? Don't you be a major label
Nope.
band? It's like, no, I'd rather have people show up. I'd rather keep my day job, just have people show up who want to listen. You know, and I mean, there are lots of bands that actually still are able to do both. They get people out who want to listen to them and give a damn, that aren't coming as a social scene.
Right.
You know, and it's like, and still actually care about the music and make a living, which, you know, one day, whatever. But my deal is I'm way more interested in just showing up and playing for people who actually give a damn about what's happening over showing up so they could post on Instagram how cool it was that they were actually there, or they spend the entire show with their back to the stage taking selfies. And that's kind of where I thought it was a good reason to talk to you, because, you know, you run a venue that's not that way, that it's about showing up and listening to songwriters give you the songs they've created in a way where you're going to listen and understand. And people turn around, like, you know, we saw Heather Little the first time. I brought one of my coworkers from here at the library, and it was like, you know, same time me and Kim turned around, she turned around and go, oh, shit. And it was like, yeah, dude, that line, that girl just dropped that turn of phrase and made that song.
That's like going and seeing Willie Carlisle at Old Quarter.
Yeah.
I've never heard of him. And Sam and Kim were like, you need to come. Just come.
Dude, he was awesome.
And I was like, all right. And it's amazing. But because we were in a venue where the point of being there was to listen to the music, I was able to become a fan immediately. Whereas had I saw him at some other venue, like when we saw him at Mercury Lounge, Willie Carlisle is going to be Willie Carlisle no matter what.
Yeah.
And when you're at that
So
show,
you're talking about how everyone's like talking over everything you have to say, and you know, last weekend I saw this here. You know what Julie said about you?
Yeah.
Oh my God! And it's like, and you're just like, cool, man, cool.
yeah, it's just like that kind of took the fun out of it, because you know, when you get to see someone like on that level performing in a small venue that everyone is focused, it just changes it. You know, it just makes a great moment. And in summation, I want to put the story out there. Dan and I went to Fitzgerald's one night to watch Jan Tiersen. And if you don't know who Jan Tiersen is, the movies Amelie and Chocolat, those movies, he wrote all the orchestration for them. So he came to Fitzgerald to perform this orchestra, and he had like a small orchestra with him, like harps and all. It's amazing, right? And so this place is packed, and there was one guy there who you knew was not there to watch the show. He was just there to find him a little action. And so he's like the tallest guy in the room. So he's standing in front of me and Dan, and he's talking, trying to hit on this chick, and she's not giving him any time of day. She's trying to watch. And I noticed Jan Tiersen from the stage sees this going on and shuts the show down. And he's like, "Hey, bud," and he's like French, so he's got a way cooler accent when he says, he's like, "Excuse me, she's not gonna fuck you. So can you leave?" And the dude just stops and just kind of slinks off into the night. And it was just like, that was an amazing moment. And so like for me, that's how it should be. Like we should respect the artist on stage, let them do their thing. And more venues need to really put the effort into making sure that people are there to see the music and be part of this experience.
I feel like it's catching on a little more. Like the whole listening room experience is like as a way to consume like all kinds of music, not just like acoustic music, even bands. Like, you don't want to talk through like some like cool shows, and there's people that do that. But a few times I've been out lately, I know, like even last night at that place, I can't remember the name of it. Cowboy Surfer. Yeah. It was pretty tame, man. He was just, a guy with an acoustic, and I was surprised. And, they were serving food, and it was a little distracting, but they were pretty quiet. But one thing, not to get too deep into it, like, the Old Quarter is very echoey. It's like, so when people are whispering and talking or whatever, it bounces off the wall, and you hear it, like, across the room. This room, it died. Like, it was, like, everything died. It hit the walls and just died. So you couldn't hear the talking. There was a little bit of talking, but it wasn't as annoying. Because it just kind of died, like as soon as it's Old Quarter, it's like that room. I love the room and it's good for the sound, but when somebody talks, it just
it does bounce
projects
around.
it over to the wherever, the stage or the bar or whatever. And
so if you've never been to the Old Quarter, you will be asked to be quiet during the show. This is a listening room, and we appreciate it if you don't
listen
talk.
to music. There's always breaks, so you can go outside and talk to people about the show.
There you go.
I even have to make people outside be quiet sometimes. They get a little loud.
Hey, we're listening to music in here.
Gabe's holding court.
Honestly, I guess I say to myself that I'm like living my dream. Like I might as well have been in a famous band or won the lotto or whatever, because it's weird that like after all these years I finally say like what do you do for a living? I'm in like the music business. Like yes, like
you are.
I'm not a machinist who plays drums. I'm in the like it's weird, and I hate the music business, but
you're trying
forced
to
be in it when you deal with the level. I'm not like Foo Fighters level. I'm probably not even the next. Probably like the one right above the one we're talking about.
But what's interesting is like anytime we've had friends come through and play shows who are from out of state, out of town, and they find out that we have played shows at the Old Quarter or that we know the person who owns the Old Quarter, they get starstruck. And especially in Texas, it's a big deal.
I forget sometimes because like bands will be coming through and I'll be like, hey man, I know y'all are coming through, but you've only sold like 5 tickets, and I'll give them an out. I'm like, if you don't want to travel over here, it's no big deal. And I forget that it's like a bucket list, and they're like, no, we want to come.
Yeah.
Well,
we don't care if there's 3 people there. We're gonna play. I was like, okay, and like it's cool because you want to say I got to play at the Old Quarter.
And good on you for like not that being still like, okay, there's only 5 tickets, but we're doing it. So I'm
always telling I would love to do the show, but if you don't want to spend gas money, and I said I'll try to give you what I can, but technically,
wasn't it Reverend Red and Matthew from the Colonies that like specifically after our show in Galveston, they're like, wait, you guys like the Old Quarter people? Like, yeah, and like y'all went over there. After the show?
Like, can we go? And at first it was like everyone was kind of like, oh well, yeah. Like,
that was the guy.
Yeah, and Matthew was like, no, like, can we go? And I was like, yeah, dude, just follow us. We'll go over there.
The secret code to get
because some of them played, and then it was already, the show was over. They were just like walking around like, dude, wow, dude, this is great.
It's a cool room, man. I could talk about that, Brad. All the pictures, like I tell people, they're just not random. Like everything on the wall means something. It's been through something, or it came from somebody that was part of like the Old Quarter or towns, or like it's not like a TGI Friday where it's just random stuff on the wall.
Tchotchkes on the wall.
Right.
It means something. Everything has been touched by somebody that's been a part of that place. Nothing is fake there. It's just like that's the realest place, and it's so beautiful when these guys that that are, to me, some of them are my heroes, and they come in there like, man, you see them looking around like, man, I'm like, I'm at the Old Quarter or whatever. I'm like, I know how you feel, man. That's why I bought it. I'm like, I love this place too, man. It's like it's a really, man, Galveston County, man. They don't want to lose that place, man.
No, thanks for keeping it there.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I'm like, come and like see shows, man. Like if you're in the area, because there's such good music. You know, one night it was like Trey Inslee and Rob Ice were there with like Courtney Patton and Jay. I was like, man, the sounds coming off that stage. I was like, there's nothing within a 50-mile radius of that, right? What can touch what's coming off that stage right now.
And I've discovered so many people that I love there. So thank you for keeping it open and working so hard.
Thanks for playing.
And thank you for coming and doing the podcast, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. We can talk for another 4 hours. Shit,
Right.
That just means next time we'll have to come back and do another one in the
Part
future.
2, baby.
All right, man. We'll catch y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening to this episode of Music in the Minor League. Like we said in the intro, if you like what you heard, please share the podcast with a friend. That's the best way for us to reach new listeners. If you enjoyed listening to Joel, go see his show at the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe. Check out his bands. Please follow them everywhere online you can and your streaming services of choice. Now we leave you with a song from Joel's first band, Worthless Cause, entitled Better Things. Hope you dig the show, and we'll see you next time with Tucker Hart.
I love you.